Hello, everybody. How are you doing? It's Alex again, the founder of the Remote Work Life Summit and Remote Work Life. Hope you are well. Hope you're enjoying the summit and hope you're taking in all of the great speakers that have been put together. And I'm wondering to myself, have you been doing the workbooks? Have you been listening to the actual speakers? And what do you think so far? But today, I don't want to go too deeply into that at the moment. I want to really give you some feedback because, as you can imagine, I've spoken to a number of CEOs over the years. I've spoken to and interviewed a number of CEOs through the years, and they tend to give me a lot of feedback in terms of how they hire, the sorts of people they hire, what they like, what they don't like. And there's certain things that, having spoken to CEOs and also decision makers and hiring managers, there's certain things that come up quite often when it comes to feedback about why you may be finding it difficult to connect with them. So, and I think this video really applies to you if, for example, you're freelancing at the moment, and perhaps you're not getting the actual consistency in income that you need, and perhaps you're looking to transition into a remote role. Although some of the points I'm about to make will also apply to you if you're a freelancer as well, because believe it or not, people who hire freelancers look for the same sorts of things or ask themselves the same sorts of questions that hiring managers will ask as well. So this applies to you as well, even if you are freelancing. But before I go into that, I just want to say to you just one thing about myself. I haven't really said much about myself, and one of the things is that my career really started in sales and recruitment and talent management. So I spent the first part of my career, about 10 years or so, hiring people, interviewing people, helping people with a transition into a new role, into a new career, etc. And then I myself transitioned out of talent management and recruitment into marketing. We've been doing that for the last 8 or 9 years now. So through that time, I've hired people myself. So I understand, obviously, the processes when it comes to hiring people. I understand the mindsets of people who hire as well. And anything that I've learned, it's my I suppose my duty, I see it as, to pass it on to you to make the very best of any applications that you make, or to make the very best of any sort of approaches, any networking that you do with prospective clients. So with that in mind, I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people applying for remote roles. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people ringing up clients every single day to try and get freelance opportunities. And more often than not, especially with the applications to remote roles, what's happening is they're taking the wrong tack. They're taking the wrong approach in terms of connecting with these CEOs, with these hiring managers, etc. Have you, I mean, I don't know if you've done this yourself, where perhaps there's a certain attraction to working remotely. And that's probably the thing that's at the top of your mind when it comes to transitioning. And that can be a big mistake, because if a hiring manager or if a CEO or a decision maker gets the feeling that the only reason that you want to work with them is because you want to work remotely, then you're putting yourself at a severe disadvantage. And there's lots of people, believe me, there are a lot of people that do that. And a lot of the feedback that I've received from CEOs and hiring managers is that a lot of people just get eliminated from the process if they do that. So here's what you should do. And here are the questions as well these are the questions that hiring managers, CEOs, and decision makers ask themselves about you when you're applying for roles with them, or when you're looking to get hired with them. And there are basically four things that come up more often than not that they ask themselves. The first thing that they ask themselves is, can you do this? Can you do this role? And by that, what they mean is, do you have the hard skills to do it? Do you have, if you're doing Facebook, for example, or if you're doing Google Ads, for example, do you have the hard skills to be able to sort of put together a funnel from end to end and all the things that's involved with that? Can you do that? Do you have the skills? Another area of that particular question, can you, is do you have the qualities as well? So qualities meaning, are you, I don't know, calm under pressure, for example, if it's like that kind of job? Or are you able to really, have you got the ability to work with people and not be moody, for example, because obviously nobody wants to work with moody people. So that question, that particular question that the CEO or the hiring manager or the decision maker asks themselves, that question, can you, is all to do with, do you have the skills, and what are your qualities? What qualities do you have that matches you with this particular role? So that's the first question that they ask. The second question that they ask is, have you? This is the question that they may ask subliminally or directly to you. So have you, and that means, have you got the experience? Have you got the track record? Or what is your track record of doing this particular work? Have you just started doing Facebook ads, or have you got 10 years worth of Facebook ads experience? I'm just using Facebook as an example, but it could be anything. So what's your track record like? Because they need to sort of understand and be reassured that obviously if you're working remotely, that you can be left, more often than not, you're left alone to do it. You're not going to have somebody looking over your shoulder. You're not going to, have somebody who's immediately going to be able to help you, more than likely. But in any case, a lot of the hiring managers say that they want people who have a certain level of experience so that they can just leave them to do what they're doing. So that's the second question, have you? And that's all to do with your track record and your experience. So the third question is, why do you? That's why do you? So that's all to do with your motivation to do that particular role. Does your purpose, does your mission, is that aligned with their mission? And that obviously means that you're going to have to do the research. You're going to have to find the companies whose mission you really understand, whose mission you really align with, whose mission that you really appreciate. And you have to articulate that in the whole process, the whole hiring process, in your prospecting, for example, your phone calls, your meetings. You have to find some way of articulating that, whether that being face-to-face with your emails, all that kind of thing. But it has to be a genuine connection, because one thing that Nick Francis talked about in one of the first sessions is the whole idea of imposter syndrome that can be experienced by remote workers. And imposter syndrome being, if you just get the first remote role that comes to you, and it's not aligned with you in terms of your mission, in terms of your motivation, you'll soon get found out. You'll soon get to a point where perhaps you're lacking motivation. You'll soon get to a point where perhaps you're not communicating and networking within the team, and it will be obvious. So that question, what's your motivation, is really important for you to answer. It's important for you to be really sort of genuine with that, and really do your research beforehand to make sure that the companies that you're approaching are really aligned to your own values, to your own mission, to your own purpose, as closely as possible. So that's the third question. And the final question, and this is just really a rule of thumb. All these questions are just a rule of thumb, but if you're able to answer all these questions, either in your applications, your phone calls, or your networking, then you're going to go a long way to convincing, remote hiring managers, CEOs, that you're the one for the job. So this final question is, will you do this? Will you meaning, can they trust you? to do it, because again, as you can imagine, for 90% of the time, perhaps even more, you're going to be working alone. You're not going to be micromanaged in any way, shape, or form. In many cases, hiring managers are not going to check in on you to see what you're doing. What they will look at is the results of what you do. But what they want to be reassured by is, can they trust you to do that work? And I think trust is a massive thing. It's a two-way thing, actually. Trust in the sense that a lot of the CEOs, a lot of the hiring managers, they're assuming that they can trust you because, as I said, they're not going to be looking over your shoulder. But in the same way, you have to show them that you can trust them. That they can trust you. So bear all those things in mind, please, when you're making your approaches, because as I said, there's thousands and thousands of people applying for remote roles because the opportunity, the flexibility is just great. But the idea is you've got to show them, you've got to show these hiring managers how you can contribute to making a difference in their business and not think about what you can get from them. So answering those 4 questions that I've just gone through: can you, have you, why do you, and will you, will go a long way to you being able to demonstrate that you're the one out of those thousands of others who are applying, hundreds and thousands of others. So I hope that's helped. Today we have, as you can imagine, another really good session, a great session. And one of my heroes, I've got so many of my heroes in this whole summit. Who have we got on the agenda today? We've got Matt Tran. Matt Tran, he's a CEO of Engineered Truth. If you go across to YouTube, he's got a pretty popular YouTube channel. And he's also the CEO of Remotize, which is remotize.com. It's a job board specifically for people who are looking for remote work. And Matt, in his session, talks about his progression as a content strategist and how he sort of built his career. He started out hustling on YouTube to now building like a 6-figure business himself and hiring other people to his team. So that's a really good one if you're looking to sort of build your career in content management. And then we have, who do we have? Michelle Dale. Michelle Dale was really my inspiration. She really inspired me because she appeared on a podcast with Yaro Starak. And Yaro Starak is one of the original laptop lifestyle sort of guys, proponents of the laptop lifestyle. And she was interviewed on his podcast. It was really famous. He has a really famous podcast in the world of blogging and digital marketing. And Michelle's story is phenomenal. She's a mother of 3. She's a digital nomad. She's built herself a 7-figure business consultancy, virtual assistant business. And she's built that from her bare hands, hard work. She lives, I believe, now she travels across Europe, Greece, and all sorts of areas while running her business. And she also has a network of virtual CEOs, virtual assistants as well. And yeah, just listen out for that interview because it's really great. Next person on the list, Lucas Zalezny, who is again somebody who's inspired my career. He is an SEO. He's a remote SEO. He's an international speaker on SEO and social media. One not to be missed. He talks about how you can, consult in social media, or alternatively, how you can transition from your bricks and mortar job right now to becoming a remote SEO role. So listen out for Lucas as well. And then Elaine Pofeld, another inspiration to me. And the reason she's another inspiration to me is because I'm a father as well. I have 3 children myself, and I know the hard work that it is involved in terms of building a business. And Elaine has done that. She's built a remote business. She's a successful journalist, written for a number of titles like Inc., Fortune. She's a prominent journalist and a real advocate of the freelancer movement and the remote working movement. and she talks about how she balances her career as a writer, journalist, with running her family, you know, with managing her family. And like I said, it's close to my heart because I'm a father myself. As you know, same with Michelle, she's a mother of 3. So I'm all about trying to empower people who, you know, you want that freedom. You want to be able to see your kids instead of having to work really late hours. You want that work-life balance. You want to be able to travel. You know, you want that freedom of not having somebody looking over your shoulder while you're working. So this is why this whole summit has been put together, and this is why I brought, you know, these speakers for you to listen to, so that I hope you can actually get the same inspiration from them as I did. So look out for those today. They're coming through the Facebook group and via email. I think that the alerts via email is the best way to be alerted as to when these new sessions are coming online. So if you go to remoteworklife.io and sign up for a ticket, I will then obviously alert you by email to let you know as and when the sessions this afternoon are coming online. And that's it from me for now. Any questions, please let me know. And if you're on the live today, just say hi. I can see Diraj and I can see Maitran. Hello, Maitran. Hello, Diraj. Thanks for joining me. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon and speak to you soon.